Superman Heroes issue 1. Brian Michael Bendis writing, Greg Rucka writing, Matt Fraction writing, and Jody Houser writing. And this is not exactly what I thought it was going to be. I assumed it was going to be a Supergirl story, and that'd be Houser's because of what the last Superman one shot with all these writers on it was. But there is no Supergirl story, so I actually have no idea which one she did.
Also, there's no Hauser listed in here.
Oh, there was originally. I guess maybe they.
Yeah,
maybe they,
she's not
fair
on
enough. That makes
That's why
sense.
there's no Supergirl story.
That makes sense.
Maybe when they decided they're cancelling a book, they were like, well, you don't need to do anything in this
Maybe
anymore.
she's still in the villains issue. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But regardless, so Scott Godlewski, Steve Lieber, Kevin Maguire, Mike Norton, and Mike Perkins on the various art in the book. So this is basically a bunch of different stories kind of on the fallout of Superman revealing his identity to the world. And I don't know about you, Matt, but I found some of this quite touching and some really interesting ideas.
A lot of it feels kind of disjointed. However, it fits because these are all reactions to something that happened more recently. Like, it feels more tied in. Then especially the Pa Kent stuff. This is Pa Kent that I've been waiting for for a very long time.
Honestly, the opening couple pages with the Kents when he's a kid, I honestly that's probably like some of my least favorite of the book, just because it felt like it was. Yeah, just I mean, it was fine. Like, there was nothing wrong with it. It was just, but it ultimately it didn't necessarily bring a lot of ideas to the table. But like when we go forward and we see like Lois, the big thing that the issue sets up is what Lois got in the box from Lex, right, from the Year of the Villain stuff, and it kind of like hints at what that is later on at the end of the issue, but it shows like Superman kind of go to the Hall of Justice and meet with the Justice League about what was happening here. It was interesting. There's a nice sort of collage of pages. There's a lot of humor from Mr. Terrific and Plastic Man of them. You know, Plastic Man keeps trying to tell him a story, and Terrific keeps jumping in.
I do love that Plastic Man's ultimate thing is I fell for the glasses. Yeah, like it worked on me.
And he feels bad for that. Yeah,
Mr. Terrific's constantly trying to tell him, like, well, this is an experiment that you did, and like I want to look at the data and see how this all worked. And but no, there's a lot of good stuff in there, like Jessica, and then you remember that whole the Emerald Sun story that popped up in Green Lanterns, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a great moment.
Some of the reactions make a lot of sense though, because John Stewart's like, yeah, of course, you know, I did this, and you're right to do this. This is great news. And then Barry's like, oh, I support you, but I'm terrified. Like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like,
and I like Zatanna's like, I could reverse this if you change your mind. Just keep that in mind.
And I'm assuming you love the Booster couple pages here. So Booster Gold.
Spoiler: this might be my moment of the week, but him up in Machu Picchu.
Booster Gold climbs to the top of a mountain, and he checks his watch, and he's like, oh, 12:34. He's done it, and he just shouts out Clark Kent from the mountaintop, and you know, Superman like zooms in, he's like, oh, is everything okay? I heard you calling on me, and he's like, no, I just couldn't wait. I just had to talk to you because like you finally did it. You told everyone who you were. So
and he's like, and now I don't have to keep the secret because I'm terrible at keeping secrets, and you know, we talk about this in the future, and Clark's like, wait, like, I thought it's always hazy. And he's like, are you kidding? Every kid knows that Superman's Clark Kent. Like, this is basic knowledge. And then just, you know, it's just a reaffirmation that, or if I'm using that right, that he did the right thing. Like, history will show this. And then, as much as I love that, this next part, I kind of love how this is the inverse of, like, that's, you know, Bruce is so happy now that he doesn't have to keep the secret and what it means. And now Bruce and Diana are sitting here, you know, in Wayne Manor.
So is this because this looks like Perkins art to me.
Yeah, this has to be the Rucka stuff.
Yeah, which is interesting because there's no Lois.
No. And that's okay. I mean,
it's fine. Yeah, I mean. So basically, Bruce is like concerned, and you know, Diana's over at the mansion having tea. And it gets to this point where Bruce like says that he tends not to be jealous of the others. He tends not to be jealous of the superpowers or whatever. But once in a while, he does get a little bit jealous of what Superman has. Of having the family, of having the happiness. And you know, because Diana says, you know, usually, despite the fact that he's Superman, you usually feel like you can do better than he does in almost anything.
And now you can't top this. Like, you can't tell people you're Bruce Wayne. Like, what would that mean? And I do like that he tries to turn this on himself about, not tries to, he ends up turning it on himself, but when someone's speaking the truth, right? And that's usually coded for, they're hiding their selfishness behind a veneer of agency. And I feel that that's him in this, right? Like it's his jealousy here is why he's so mad. It has nothing to do with Clark's decision. It has the fact that he can't. And this is him speaking his truth on that. And Diana calls him out for it, which I do love their relationship. It's so different than Diana and Clark's.
Oh yeah.
Is that, here they can talk and she's not going to judge him for this.
And yeah, and I like that it ends with her saying, maybe one day you can speak your truth. And he says, perhaps, but I won't hold my breath. And he's like, he knows that that's not him. Like deep down, it's just not him.
It won't be. And also a conversation of what the truth means with Wonder Woman. So again, why Rucka is one of my favorite writers at working is in this about Superman telling the truth of who he is. Of course, Wonder Woman has a lot to say about it. So I thought that really worked. And then the next story I think is my favorite one in the whole issue is this with Superman and his teacher in Smallville.
Actually, yeah, I might agree with this. Actually, this is basically Superman coming back to his was it chemistry or physics, whatever the teacher taught, and he basically he's here to say, okay, you know who I am now, and the teacher's like, I remember you in school, and you were this, troubled kid or whatever, and basically Superman's here just to let him know that he never cheated. He has to let him know that he never X-rayed answers. He never used his powers for anything. He always played by the book when it came to his class. And I love that the guy's like, well, look, you got a C+. If you're going to cheat, you wouldn't get a C+. You earned that C+.
You earned it, and that's exactly who you are. You have earned everything you've ever set out to be, because that's who you are. And I just love that sentiment here. It's just really good, and it shows how, he remembered who he was, and he kept an eye on him as Clark Kent, when they were sharing all the stories, all he could think about was that, of course, Clark Kent turns out to be Superman. It's the only thing that makes sense.
Yep.
No, and then he takes off. Do you know
what I love about this is I love how they dealt with the reveal in the main book, and even the main book this week, we'll get to that next, has some more cool stuff with this, but all the reactions and the way it's really, exploring all the things that would happen if Superman did this, if he revealed who he was to the world. I'm loving all the little ways that it's affecting, people in his life. And this story about this teacher, who we don't really know, from anything, is a really good story. And then the next story I also really liked is this idea that Lois has had to set up a warehouse and several workers to deal with all the mail that is now coming to Superman. And then the little twist here at the end, because it's just a little one-page story, well, 2 pages including the letter writing page, where Superman's like, okay, so all these letters are people writing to me, and she's like, look closer, and they're all addressed to her. And he's like, oh, that was presumptuous to me. Yes, it was. Yours are next door. And the final panel is just these 2 big giant 18-wheelers that have been full of letters.
It's pretty great. See, that's another. I think that's a Rucka one too, because that's Perkins' art.
Yeah, I assumed this was Rucka because it was Lois focused.
Yeah.
Even though she, he's there still. So I really like all these little ideas of the idea that people will be sending him all this mail, and even the fact that it's split into 3 piles. The ones who are just doing thank you, there's the ones who are have hopes that they want him to help with, and then there's the hate mail, which is all the conspiracy theory ones of this is fake and blah blah and so on. So that's really good. I have to admit, I wasn't super into the Jimmy story because I felt like it kind of weirdly went against what was in the main book with Jimmy when he found out. I don't know how you felt about this, Matt.
But no, I think he's checking just to make sure that, Jimmy's not upset with him for lying to him after being buds for all this whole time. That's how I read it, is that's what he's checking with him. That's why he asked him if he's okay. And it's just, Jimmy has this thing where he seems like he's angry, and he's just hand-waving everything, but he's still working as they're talking.
Yeah, I guess for me, this was the one that maybe felt redundant because I felt like they handled Jimmy so well in the main book. That moment where he tells him early because he's Jimmy, but he finds out that Lois already told him that morning. I thought that was perfect. So I guess this just felt kind of unnecessary to me. But I mean, it's only a few pages, so whatever.
But I like that Jimmy put it together because I got it over on some of the best investigative journalists and people in the world. How'd you know? He's like, well, there's only 2 people that call me Jim, and Clark Kent's one of them, and Superman's the other. Kind of easy to figure out. And so then he realized it wasn't 2 people; it was only the one. And so, and he's actually busy at work, so Perry doesn't eat his face off. So I liked all that.
Yeah.
And then
so
they,
the final story is basically wrapping up the tease of the box that she got from Lex Luthor, and it's basically news from Lex about who the Invisible Mafia leader is.
Right. That's Leon.
Leon,
is the head of that,
and she now
if they
owns,
can publish it, because of the Daily Planet.
If she now owns the Daily Planet, and because of that, they know that if they do this, if they publish this and tell the truth, it will alter the lives of everyone they know, of everyone they care about, because all of a sudden the Daily Planet's going to be embroiled in this controversy, and this will potentially ruin Jimmy's life, Perry's life, their professional lives, like all these different things. So, and this is something where Lex knew this would upset her, and
right, that each of those gifts came with a string attached. And I'm glad that we waited this long, because remember when they resolicited those issues? They came out around when Year in the Villain was starting. I remember that Lois cover. I'm wondering if this was the original plan, or if this is something Bendis has just added.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I feel like the whole Year of the Villain gift thing was just something that we're doing for everything, and I feel like Bendis has taken some time to think about what that gift might be, and now came up with this. And this is, the idea that Lex wants to kind of ruin their lives with this is very interesting. And ending, because the last page is just a Superman saying Lex Luthor when he realizes that Lex is kind of behind this and wanting to ruin their lives, and it says to be continued in Superman Villains. So the villains issue is clearly going to be, I assume, Lex and the other villains' reaction to this news. We're going to get the other side of it, where we're going to see Lex and maybe I don't know if Zod will find out some way, because he's not really on Earth, but
yeah, but I don't think that Zod cares about that.
Probably not, but
he's always he's always known that he's blended in. But yeah.
But we're going to see reactions of the villains and what they're plotting and how they sort of deal with this news, I assume, in the villains issue. So and maybe we'll get Superman showing up at the end of it to confront Lex about this, but we'll see. If only it wasn't Apex Lex during all this bollocks, that'd be that'd be nice.
That'd be nice.
But I actually really liked this issue for the most part. I mean,
me too.
Not every story was as good as the other one, but there was a 2 or 3 in here that I really liked. And I liked how it's playing with the ideas of how would this affect their lives if people knew who he was.
Right.
So
and we're gonna get more of that fallout in coming, throughout the issues, because we do see it when we talk about Superman.
The main book. But so no, I really like the teacher story. I love the letters stuff. So really good. So Matt, what are you giving Superman Heroes issue 1?
I'm giving this one an 8.5.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that and give it an 8.5 as well.